Hey everybody, thank you for joining Optica, Reflective Faith and Latinidad for another great episode. Want to thank everybody who's been a faithful listener and who's shared this podcast or YouTube channel with their friends. Thanks for being part of the Pastor Salguero team and the Optica family, where we invite you to open your eyes and see what God is doing. And we got a good one today, my brothers and sisters, a good one. You might want to call your friends for this one. Get the popcorn out. The title is Pastors and Social Media. Pastors and Social Media. I got my phone here that reminds me that you can hardly get away with it. That no matter where you go, you're in your house, you're in your office, you're in your car, although you should not be using social media while you're driving, some people do, you can't get away from social media. And because it is ubiquitous is a big word, because it's everywhere, it's almost omnipresent, you should be very careful on how you steward your social media presence. I'll say that again, because I think that's the major theme behind what I want to share with you today. We should be careful on how we steward our social media presence. I want to say it one third time, maybe slightly different way. We should be careful on how we steward our social media influence and presence. People are watching, people are listening, and people can be impacted either positively or negatively by what we post, what we say, what we like on social media. I want to particularly talk to spiritual leaders, although it's not unique to spiritual leaders, this conversation. You're a parent, you're a principal, you're a teacher, you're a husband, you're a pastor, you're an entrepreneur. What you say, what you like, what you comment is a reflection on what you believe. Scripture says it this way: out of the abundance of the heart does the mouth speak. So let me give you the 21st century version, the Gabriel Salguero version of social media of out of the abundance of the heart does the mouth speak. Out of the abundance of the heart does the finger post. Does the person tweet? Does the person comment? What you have in your heart, and it's going out into all of these social media platforms for people who may not know you, who are watching from a distance, and for people who are close to you. They're saying that's a reflection of your heart and your mind, your feelings and your convictions and your thoughts. Why is this important? Because quite frankly, you can't distinguish between morally upright and spiritually mature people posting and everyone else. It is as if we have thrown away filters and decency and civility when posting. One young person said to me, "Pastor, I am amazed by how mean evangelicals can be on social media." Did you hear that? This is a young person, maybe early 20s, mid-20s. It says to me, "Pastor, I'm shocked by how mean evangelicals can be." And that person was talking to me about pastors. Anonymity is not a license for cruelty. Anonymity is not a license for cruelty. Just because you can post anonymously or because you're posting on somebody who doesn't know you well, that doesn't give you a license to be mean or disrespectful. Social media is not a platform where we attack people who disagree with us. I'll say that again. Social media should not be a platform where we attack people who we disagree with or disagree with us. Social media should not be, especially for a Christian, a platform where we attack people who disagree with us. It's okay to disagree with people. What's not okay is to attack them. Remember that this hurts the credibility of our witness. The Bible, this is Jesus talking in Matthew chapter 5, says, "Blessed are the peacemakers." The Bible, this is Jesus talking, reminds us that we have to bless those who persecute us. And somehow we have put that to the side on social media platforms where we say, hey, let's get into these arguments that have no end on social media and let us totally attack. It's not even that we're engaging in sophisticated dialogue. Social media is not a dialogue platform. It's a platform where you post ideas. It's a platform where you engage people. It's a platform where you share family pictures and journeys and announcements about what God is doing in you and through your life. But when you enter into these endless debates, which, by the way, Paul tells Timothy, we should not enter into endless debates that produce nothing or that yield no fruit. We have somehow engaged into this tit for tat, and it engages in personal destruction of people's character. You know that there's people that post on pages of people they don't have any relationship with? How can you critique someone you have no relationship with? What gives you the right to speak into somebody's life is that you have a relationship with them. And when you post from a distance some harsh critique, some demonizing rhetoric, what you're telling the world is, I can be uncivil to someone just because they disagree with me. So point number one, social media is not a platform for cruelty towards people we disagree with. Number two, pontificating is not preaching. Pontificating is not preaching. So let's unpack that. Pontificating is where you declare an idea and you establish it like a truth that everybody must accept. You must accept this. There's no disagreement. It's impositional. Pontificating is where I speak with a sense of ultra authority and I don't engage people. I don't hear people. Preaching is proclamation of the truth with love. I'll say that again. Preaching is proclaiming the truth with love. Pontificating is giving my ideas and not seasoning with love. And let me be clear. You can't get tone on social media. Tone is lost on some platforms. And so many people are being hurt because pastors think that pontificating and preaching are the same thing. They are not. Pontificating is where you proclaim ideas without love and without civil dialogue. Proclamation is proclaiming the truth with love. Third, and this is very, very important, the witness of the gospel is being affected by thoughts that are not thoughtful. I said that. The witness of the gospel is being harmed by posting thoughts that have not been thought through. It's almost as if we're reactionary, that we're posting just to provoke an emotional response instead of inviting people to deep thought. Hey, part of Optica, I hope and I pray, and we don't always get it right, I have to say, is that we're inviting people into a conversation to say, hey, what do you think about this? It's like the Jesus methodology of teaching. You have heard it said this, but I say this. It's like the Jesus methodology of, whom do people say that I am? Who do you say that I am? And one of the dangers of social media is that we've created platforms that pontificate in a way that harms the credibility of the gospel. I also want to add this point, dear pastor, dear leader. When you establish a political ideology over love, you've hurt the witness of the gospel. There are Democrats who say that Republicans are the devil. And there are Republicans who say that Democrats are the devil. And they say it on social media, not knowing that hundreds of people in their congregations, in their circle of influence, are from a variety of political points of view. Let us not use social media to demonize people. You know, one of the things that fascinates me about Jesus, as I imagine it fascinates you, is that he invited a motley crew of people. Simon the Zealot, which was, Simon the Zealot was part of a political movement that wanted to overthrow Rome violently. And then he invited Matthew the tax collector, who actually worked for the Roman Empire. And somehow, some way, working with Simon the Zealot, the extremist who wanted to overthrow the government through violence, and Matthew the tax collector, who was an agent of the government, he was able to call them into a new way, the way of the cross, the way of the basileo totheo, the kingdom of God. And in this invitation, the gospel enabled them to see the other person as created in the image and likeness of God. What some pastors have done, not all, because a lot of good pastors have posted some great stuff, inspiring stuff, worship sermons, all kinds of things. But in some cases, what it has allowed us to do is dehumanize the person we're commenting on. You know what dehumanization is? When you no longer see the person as human, but just an object of disagreement. I'll say that again. Dehumanization is when you no longer see the humanity of the person, that they are created in the image and likeness of God, and you just see them as an opponent, somebody you disagree with. Brothers and sisters, that is not the gospel. It is not the gospel that we allow disagreements to dehumanize people, to speak of people, to create memes of people that disrespect the image of God in them, that create images of people that either makes them equal to God, which is also wrong, or dehumanizes and debases them to something less than human. Both extremes are wrong. You know what I've been thinking? I don't know. Check me on this. Tell me if you think any pastor nowadays who's going to Bible Institute or going to seminary should take a class on social media. We should make that a requirement. What to say and what not to say on social media. How to treat. How about that? What do you think? I'll be willing to teach a class and to sit in on a class. There's things that should not be said in that forum. Because here's the other thing. I want to remind pastors and leaders. Social media is not your local congregation. Everybody's listening. Everybody's watching. So some people say, I have to tell the truth. Well, there's a way to say to tell the truth and the context to which and from which you're saying it. In my church, I preach every Sunday, but I know those people. I visit their families. I pray for them in hospitals. I give them Tuesday Bible studies that are not live streamed. I have a relationship with people. But on social media, people who are watching and listening may have no relationship with you. And their first impression of you may be that you are ridiculing somebody they love or somebody they agree with. Now look, that doesn't mean we don't take a stand. That doesn't mean we don't speak the truth. What I'm saying is that there's a way to do it. You might be mindful that Jesus did not just say, I am the truth and the life. Jesus also said, I am the way. And so a lot of people say, I'm telling the truth and I don't care who listens. Well, Jesus is not just the truth. He's also the way. There's a way to speak the truth. And so social media platforms are not our local congregation. Social media platforms is not just speaking to people who agree with you. What about skeptics? What about people who've been hurt by the church? What about people who've backslidden? What about atheists? Don't they also deserve a word of love and respect in that truth that we proclaim? So maybe this will be an ongoing series. I'm thinking about it and maybe invite some of my friends, pastors in social media. And you might ask me here in Optica and Pastor Gabe, why are you talking about this? Because so many people are being hurt by careless and cruel comments in the name of truth, absent love. And without discernment of what a social media platform is really about and the audience it touches. Someone posted the other day and it says, hey, don't forget that when you say something demeaning about a woman, your mother sees it, your sister sees it, your daughter sees it, your wife sees it, and women whom you have authority over or co-workers, they see it. And as it is with women, so it is with any other community that God calls us to love and to be in healthy relationships with. Hey, listen, I want to thank you for being part of the Optica family and for opening your eyes to see what God is doing and listening to this series on pastors and social media.